FairyKairi here, and welcome to days 1 and 2 of the Minecraft Hardcore Challenge October 2018 player updates. Before we get any further, must thank both Complex Hobbyist and Greg C69, I believe it was, for their help in compiling this. And also, the last time there was a player update, to my knowledge, there was not a Bedrock edition of the challenge. I will be the first to admit, I am very much not familiar with how Bedrock is played, and I am strictly Java. But I have nothing against either platform. Minecraft is Minecraft, no matter how it is played. And I will be doing both solo and teams in alphabetical order. First doing solos, and then teams. Teams are 2 or more people, regardless of whether both perspectives are on whether or not all perspectives are on different channels or the same channel. So, without further ado, let's begin. Okay. First, our MHC Java Edition announcer, Baker Bell. Day 1, she was the first to think of kelp as a food source, before any other food source. And then after heading to the X and Z coordinates, she quickly finds a zombie dungeon under the mountain. Or rather, the summit of said mountain. And then she finds iron by mining the cobble near the dungeon, after setting up a temporary base in the dungeon cave. Day 2, she immediately smelts the mined iron and uses it to make a full set of iron armor. She then staircases up to the top of the summit and levels it out at the specified Y level. Just as night falls, she realizes that she needs some wood. She returns to the plains biome. She collects saplings from a large oak tree all night while killing all the hostile mobs around her. Next up, we have Bedrock Edition announcer, Big Edley. Day 1, he gets seeds within a minute of gameplay and has it all planted approximately 3 minutes later. He spends a bit of time praising Bat's Heart's old survival tutorials, which I had no idea existed, and then he finds a cave soon after and caves throughout the night. He finds the first diamonds of this month's MHC as day 1 ends. Day 2. He finishes mining his found diamonds and goes after more iron while mentioning his son's, plural, Minecraft interests. He kills 2 skeletons in an adjoining cave, one of which drops a bow for which he has 1 arrow. He makes a diamond pick with his diamonds, which is all well and good, but something that really irks me, and you may have no idea why, is he uses it to mine cobble. Anyway, when he needs to clear out his inventory for more cobble, he gets rid of the diorite first. My kind of dude, sir. I am very much not a fan of diorite. Anyway. And by the time he leaves the cave, as the episode ends, he has a full stack of iron. Next up, we have my fellow helper, Complex Hobbyist. Day 1, he starts out by gathering some basic resources and finds a cave to explore. There was some iron guarded by mobs, so he quickly gets two pieces of iron and flees when a baby zombie follows him. Luckily, it burned in the sunlight. He found some kelp and secured a good amount of food for himself, and he spent the night mining cobblestone in a coastal mountain. Day 2. He followed the coordinates and climbed the mountain, arriving to the building site. He spent the night working on the terrain to flatten it and preparing it for his build. Now we have Crafting Mantis. This is the first MHC for Crafting Mantis, and she is off to a great start. Her plan is to build a version of the Jubilee Tower. Day 1, she starts by slowly walking to the given coordinates whilst collecting seeds, wood, and coal, and she gets to the top of the mountain by sunset. Without much resources to start a farm, she started to flatten the terrain and measuring it. She realizes that maybe she will not have enough space for her plans, and she will need to adapt her building to the terrain available. Day 2. She goes back down the mountain to gather some dirt and iron, and to create a more effective way to get down and back up to the top. During the night, she works on the first level of her tower and started to make a farm to avoid starvation. Now we have Dragon Feathers. Day 1, she starts by having some computer problems and then finds coal. She staircases up the mountain while talking briefly about the history of castles. She nearly reaches the top as day 1 ends. Day 2, she reaches the summit soon after the episode starts. She claims that the only mob she will need a fortification from is phantoms. She levels the summit out much like Bickerbell and builds a perimeter around it to avoid fall damage. She clears out a temporary shelter directly under the summit, which she calls her stronghold, and makes an axe for a weapon. She descends her staircase as day 2 ends. Next we've got Grandma's Gone Gaming. Day 1, she starts by getting wood, some coal, and saplings for her build. She goes underground for the night and gathers some coal and diorite, andesite, and some iron. Day 2, she starts by shearing some sheep, gathering some sand, kelp, and iron until sunset. During the night, she bravely stayed outside gathering more resources and started smelting some iron whilst waiting for daylight. Now we have Grim Optimist. Grim Optimist is trying at the MHC for the first time, and so far he's doing great. Welcome! Day 1, his strategy is to gather everything needed for the build before going up the mountains. While exploring some caves for iron, he encountered some zombies and took care of them. Then he went back to the surface to gather some wood. By nightfall, he dug a small underground base of operations, then started mining for resources, and found another cave full of iron and coal. Day 2, he started going to the coordinates, but ended up wandering off to grab some kelp and to look for a shipwreck. Instead, he found a village. After getting all their books and food, he goes back to the sea whilst the sun goes down. He stopped at the seashore to kill a spider for its string, and several mobs came for him. Luckily, he escaped a creeper explosion with just a little bit of damage. He continued the monster hunt until he got enough string for a bow and a fishing rod. By the end of the episode, he finally found a shipwreck. Another first-timer, Ironstein, welcome, first of all. Day 1, he directly heads to the given coordinates, gathering some seeds and wood on the way. By nightfall, he carves a room for himself at the mountainside and goes mining for resources. Day 2, he finds more iron and coal at the shore and gathers more wood for making ladders. During the night, he bravely starts to climb the mountain and reaches the top safely, where he plants some saplings. Last in our trio of solo new players, well, it'll be a quartet actually, but anyway. We have JGeekW. Welcome to you as well. So he starts to go over his general plan. He gets trees and seeds. He makes an iron sword. This is day 1. Spent the night above ground. He goes mountain climbing. He got to the starting location just in time for sunup. And time seemed to pass slowly on day 2. He finally makes a shield and flattens the mountaintop. He started a small garden and made a waterfall. He collected kelp and discussed a cobble generator. Next up in our alphabetical order would actually be me. But since this is my video and it's going up in my channel, I will have the playlist posted on my end cards. The way I see it, you are here anyway. You might as well give my episodes a watch. Anyway, after that, we have, well, believe it or not, New Azusa, who has only posted day 1 at the time of this recording. And he finds a cave right at the start. And he makes a yellow sheep. He chops down a lot of trees. He makes an iron sword and shield. He goes caving, yet finds no mobs. And he gets a bunch of iron. Last but not least of our solo players, we have Pine Leaf Needles. She discusses the definition of a castle in day 1 and spends the night underground. And in day 2, she spends most of it climbing the mountain. Now, for our teams. First off, we have Father and Daughter Team, Jocko Wolf and Creative Kitty 09. Day 1, Jocko mentions that they are planning a fortification and wall with no other details. And Creative Kitty hoards a crafting table and will not let her father touch it. This continues. She reminds me of myself at that age. Seriously. They set up a temporary house within the mountain under the summit. And Jackal makes a small farm and mine. Day 2, Creative Kitty logs out to avoid combat in the cave found while mining. There is no specified rule against this to my knowledge. I could be wrong. Please enlighten me in the comments. Jackal kills the mobs that were after his daughter. Good father. And she logs back in within 15 seconds of that. Creative Kitty falls in the ravine near their farm and nearly dies. Jackal uses Slash staircase up the mountain. Creative Kitty refuses to eat the rotten flesh in her inventory, even though it will replenish her hearts. She is at half a heart. They reach the summit as day 2 ends. Secondly, in our teams, we have John Fall 92 and BSM. They find a cave. They go to the mountain quite quickly. And John lets his hunger get really low. BSM farms kelp. They also fight off a horde of zombies and spend the night above ground. John comes close to accidentally drowning. They also find a treasure map. They mine and trade. And they acquire a respectable amount of iron. And BSM found a spawner. Quite possibly a zombie spawner. And they discuss plans to the castle. Thirdly, we have the mother-son duo, Minecrafting Mom and Ninja Eevee. Day 1, they are the first to guess that the coordinates are in an extreme hills biome. Ninja Eevee makes the mine, which is not fruitful. Minecrafting Mom makes a farm as the episode ends. Day 2, Ninja Eevee makes a very sketchy staircase up to the mountain as Minecrafting Mom plants trees. Despite Minecrafting Mom's exasperation at her son, Ninja Eevee makes it to the coordinates first. Minecrafting Mom attempts to mine for iron at the wrong Y level and then decides that andesite should replace stone in their eventual build. Fourthly, we have Mustang Girl 3374 and her daughter Cali Cat Girl in the bedrock. I should note that at the time of the recording, only day 1 has been posted. Mustang Girl is the first to praise that no pumpkin pie is needed. Day 1 is an episode mostly of resource gathering while dealing with Callie the cat's harassment off camera. I can totally agree with that. I have 2 dachshunds. While they are dogs and not cats, it took me a while to quote-unquote train them. For me to record with them being right next to me. Anyway. Cali Cat Girl kills a spider as day 1 ends after an argument about the episode time, the recording time. Fifthly, we have our 5th set of newcomers to MHC, C3PO, and Dark Diamond. welcome to them as well. Day 1, C-3PO and Dark Diamond start by gathering a few resources and wandering in the wrong direction. After realizing their mistake, they find their way to the given coordinates. By nightfall, they flee the zombies by going underground. They both start mining. C-3PO ended up being lucky and find some iron to make some shields. Day 2, they established a little farm at the mountain's base and went to find where exactly they were supposed to build the castle. After realizing that it would not be easy to get to the top, they decided to stay in the mine for the night, looking for iron and waiting for the wheat to grow. Lastly, and I wish this was intentional, we have the ever-popular duo, the Pigglesworth and Deloy XP, and they are joined by Jeromut, who I personally think sounds a lot like me. Anyway, day 1, after finding some iron and coal in a cave and gathering some resources for making tools and a bed, which, using that to escape phantoms, well, that's a bit of a gray area. Let's not talk about that. They go off to the given coordinates. They go to the mountain when the sun was going down and decide to wait for daylight to climb them to the building site. During nightfall, they find a dungeon with a spawner and 2 chests and decide to create a zombie farm on the spot for a reliable food source. Day 2, they continue to build a zombie farm while experimenting with watermelons to see if they will grow only on dirt or also on cobblestone. That was rather funny. Anyway, apart from discussions about the Russian language, they do not accomplish much in this episode. And Deloy XP is hungry. Okay, friends. So this was rather new for me. This is the first time I have recorded really in creative mode. Also, it was my intention to not detract from other people from watching your actual episodes. Please let me know how well I accomplished this in the comments, please. Anyway, without further ado, this has been Kairi. Please leave a like and a comment. And if you really did like it, please do subscribe. And I will see you in next week's player update. Bye-bye!